Joining us is former India captain in Sunil Gavaskar. Sunny bhai, throughout this Border Gavaskar series coverage, I've been introducing you as one half of the Border Gavaskar trophy. Today, when the trophy presentation was happening, we saw the other half give the trophy to the winning captain in Pat Cummins. Where was Sunil Gavaskar?
That is something that you need to ask Cricket Australia, because I haven't got any communication from Cricket Australia. They communicated with the TV channel that I was working for, Channel 7 here in Australia, that if Australia win the series, then it'll be Alan Border who will do the presentation. And if India win the test and draw the series, then I would be the one who would be doing the presentation. So I mean, that's the only information that I had. That was from the channel that I was working, but nothing official from Cricket Australia.
Would you have liked to be there giving the trophy away? Irrespective of who's won the trophy, we could have had both, since both of you were there at the ground to give away to the winning captain.
Oh, yes, I think so. I think the trophy is named after the two of us. So if both of us happen to be there, then both of us should have been there. Yes, I do feel that, yes.
Okay, Sunil, let's get down to the test match. And this is going to be the biggest question that would be on the minds of every Indian cricket fan. 162 was the total, but the big question was whether Jasprit Bumrah will bowl or not. We got the answer to that. He wasn't available. What if Jasprit Bumrah was available to bowl today? Could India have retained the Border Gavaskar trophy?
Yes, they would have. And I was kind of hoping that, I mean, look, it's a back injury. Jasprit Bumrah is a very, very dedicated cricketer. And so I think even if he had been a little bit able to bowl, he would have come out and bowled. But therefore I was kind of praying overnight that he could maybe come and bowl just 4 or 5 overs with the new ball. And because I knew that we wouldn't be, India would not be able to set Australia more than 190, 200 to score. But in fact, it was much less, 30 runs less. So if he could have come and bowled maybe 4 or 5 overs at the start, then that would have made a big difference. But of course, he was not fit. So no blame to him at all.
So in hindsight, do you think India could have managed his workload better? Because that was the most crucial moment, right? The entire series boiled down to day 3 of the Sydney test match, and that's where you required a Jasprit Bumrah. I'm going back to, let's say, the Gaba test match, where he bowled about 6 overs in Australia's second innings, where you really didn't need him to bowl. It was only a matter of time before Australia declared. Maybe somewhere along the line, he's bowled 150 plus overs. Could that workload have been managed slightly more smartly so that he was available today?
I think what really took the load for him was the 4th day in Melbourne, where he bowled 8 different spells or 9 different spells of 3 overs, 4 overs, and I think that really took a toll on his body. And there was actually a video of him saying to Rohit Sharma, the captain, "Ab bas ho gaya," kind of thing. And which actually told you that here is a man who loves bowling, who enjoys taking wickets for India. That the load had just got a little too much for him.
So anyway, so do you reckon the think tank that would involve the coach and the captain and whoever could have managed that better, knowing fully well that it's a long series?
I think they did what was best for the team, because look, without him, India would not have been in any position really to be in the series. And so therefore, when you have a bowler who's taking the wickets, you tend to sort of over bowl him to an extent. That is just totally understandable. I don't think we can blame the team management for this, because they and even Jasprit Bumrah were only looking to do what was good for the Indian team at that particular point of time.
So this is what happens, and I want your thoughts on the team selection in this particular test match. I think Washington Sundar just bowled that token over. Now, you knew when you must have seen the pitch overnight, we've discussed it for a long time, that this probably is the greenest Sydney track that we've seen. In a scenario like that, going in with 2 spinners, knowing fully well that you're going to underbowl maybe both spinners, but at least definitely one spinner, Could you have gone with a more recognized batter if that's the cushion that you needed? So I know you took Washington because you needed his batting, but if batting was needed, you could have gone with an out-and-out batter because you knew one spinner is going to be underbowled looking at those conditions. What did you make of the selection then for this test?
Yes, I think in hindsight, we could have gone with an extra batter. In fact, we could have gone with an extra new ball bowler because if you were going to decide to bat first, then yes, I think you needed to have that extra protection for the batting. But looking at the pitch, when you look at the pitch, you know that this is a green pitch. This has been the greenest pitch you have with so much grass that for the entire series. So clearly, I think that could have been considered that maybe you have an extra batter or an extra seam bowler.
Do you think that has been the constant problem that India has had in this series? I remember the last two Border Gavaskar trophies. You went to Australia, you won because you were playing 7 out-and-out batters, 4 bowlers. That would be your combination. This time, you've decided to go with multiple all-rounders. Do you feel or do you get a sense that somewhere that white ball thinking of having multiple all-rounders in Test cricket, that is crept into the Indian Test thinking as well?
Yes, you could say that, I think because the Indian batting was not doing well, that they were looking to, lengthen the batting. But in trying to do that, they got into a situation where you were actually not able to get the balance of your team quite right. Because you had a Washington Sundar batting at 8. Now, at number 8, with 9, 10, 11 not being, good batters, at 8, he wasn't going to be able to do much. At 8, you cannot expect a batter to score 50 or 100, which he did. 50. He got a 50 in the first innings at Melbourne. But that is it. That is the way the Indian team selection was, that they were actually picking somebody who could do a bit of batting and bit of bowling. And it didn't quite work. If you drop a regular batter, you're right. I think India should have gone in with 6 batters, proper batters. Then you had maybe a Jadeja there, 7, and a Nitish Reddy at 8. And then you had the 3 seam bowlers. That would have been probably your best line of attack. It should have given you just a little bit of extra batter. And Jadeja could have bowled the spin. And Nitish Reddy could have been, as he was, your 4th seam bowler. So you had 5 bowling options anyway.
I know a lot of things we're looking at is in hindsight, and that's what tends to happen at the end of the series. Looking at how Prasidh Krishna has bowled in this test match, should he have been your 3rd choice fast bowler ahead of Harshit Rana, Akashdeep? Because Harshit was again a greenhorn in Test cricket. You were just trying him. Nothing wrong that he's done. But Prasidh had played Test cricket. You knew that you had a Bumrah, you had a Siraj, of course, 1 and 2 in that pecking order. Harshit, I beg your pardon, Prasidh could have been that 3rd to begin the series with?
Yeah, he could have been. And this is where all these practice matches come into play. Practice matches where you get to see which bowler is in rhythm, which bowler is bowling well. You don't have these practice matches. You just have these little 2-hour, 3-hour practice sessions. You're never going to be able to get the balance. And what happens also is that if you want to make a change when it comes to the 4th and 5th test match, then the guys you want to maybe bring in, they're short of match practice. They haven't played any matches. And so then to pick them up, you're thinking, oh, but they haven't played anything. And so what happens is the whole selection becomes, pretty much a situation where you say, okay, these guys have not done well, but we'll continue with them because they're at least playing. There's no point taking 2 newcomers. You pick Prasidh Krishna because Akashdeep was injured, and also because I think Harshit Rana was not 100% fit. If Harshit Rana had been 100% fit, then I think he would have played ahead of Prasidh Krishna.
So anyway, looking at the macro picture, it's been a humbling few months for Indian Test team. Loss at home to New Zealand, and now giving away the Border Gavaskar Trophy, something that you held for almost a decade, more than a decade, in fact. Where do you see Indian Test cricket go from here on?
Well, look, I think India has enough depth of talent. There's no question about it. The kind of talent that we have, what you call our bench strength. We have a very good bench strength. But that bench strength needs to be given the opportunities as well. And because there are no matches that are being played between these test matches, You're never going to be able to see how the bench strength is doing. Also, what these practice matches do is those out of form, whether as a batter or a bowler, they can get and play these matches, and get some rhythm back. Like I said before, I think earlier on our program, when the Indian team reached Australia, and since and until the 7th, which was supposed to be the last day of the series, they were going to be in Australia for 57 days. Out of 57 days, there were 5 test matches of 5 days, which was 25 days. And then there was a 2-day game with the Australian Prime Minister's 11. So out of 57 days, they were going to play cricket for 27 days. And for 30 days, they were not going to play cricket. Now that to me, that those 30 days, okay, there is one travel day. So you're looking at 6 travel days. So from 30 days, take out those 6 travel days. Out of 24 days, are you trying to say to me that you could not arrange 2 matches somewhere of 3 days, and irrespective of the quality of the opposition, it's just the rhythm factor, getting into the flow factor for the bowlers, for the batters, for those who are in the reserves, who get the opportunity, those who are out of form, who get the opportunity to get back into form. These are things that hopefully will be considered now that you've got the experience for the tour of England, which again is going to be a 5-test match series. It's going to be a very short, quick trip. That's the nature of international tours nowadays. But hopefully this will be taken into account for those in-between days, and some matches organized.
Saiba, you talk about some practice games. Of course, there was those India A games before the series started, but unfortunately, the 2 standout performers there, one was Jurel, who only got 1 test match. The other was Prasidh Krishna, who only got only 1 test match right at the end. So even when there were some games and the performers, they really didn't get a long run. Because you talk about them practicing or playing a bit more game. The other question that comes to your mind is also this aversion to playing domestic cricket. Today, Gautam Gambhir, the coach, was asked about domestic cricket, and he said, listen, I include everyone, stalwarts, big player, anyone, everyone should be playing domestic cricket regularly. But Saibai, this is something that we've heard for the last few months, but not everyone is playing domestic cricket. Is it easier said than done then? Is it lip service?
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out whether this is lip service. We'll find out soon, because there is some domestic cricket happening in the next 15 days, and we will find out what is happening, whether what the coach wants and what the players want to do, because there are some players who are taking their places for granted, and they think that whatever happens, that they will not be dropped from the team or whatever. So I think let us see what happens now when the coach has said that he expects all these players to play. Let's see.
Okay, Saibai, 2 players I'm going to talk to you in particular. We've spoken about Virat and Rohit a lot during our coverage. I'm going to focus on, let's say, someone like a KL Rahul. He started off the series very well, but then has tapered off. He ends the series at an average of 30, which is below his career average. Now, this was an opportunity for him to cement his spot, because he had been in and out of the team. Now, at the end of the series, what do you think? Has he done more harm to his test prospects going forward, or has he done any good to it?
I think it is probably in Rahul's case, because he just sort of tapered off in the last couple of test matches. You could say that he hasn't moved back, neither has he taken any step forward. I thought the way he played in the first 3 test matches, this was going to be somewhere where he will be able to consolidate his place in the team. What about Shubman Gill?
Yes.
Shubman Gill had a terrific opportunities, but in this game, both the times, his temperament was called into question. And here is a man who's had loads of opportunities. He's also had an injury, so he didn't play the first test match. But we talk about Rahul, but we also must ask questions of so many others.
Yeah, it's a valid point. In fact, Saimbai, that was going to be the next player I was going to discuss. Was Shubman Gill as well. That 91 at Gabba, that's long gone. After that, Senna performances haven't been great. He's done well in Indian conditions, but Senna performances haven't been great for him as well. So what does he do? Go back to domestic? What must he do?
He has to. Everybody has got to go back to the domestic. They want to play for India in Test cricket. They want to play red ball cricket. They need to go back to domestic. I know there's probably just 1 round of Ranji Trophy left, and some of their teams might not qualify. But those who, if they qualify, then they should be available. to play for their Ranji Trophy team.
Okay, Saima, finally, before we let you go, there is also a school of thought, and I discussed it earlier, that Gautam Gambhir, the coach's tenure hasn't been great. You lost that ODI series in Sri Lanka, then the loss to New Zealand at home, and now this Border Gavaskar Trophy. There is a school of thought that suggests maybe it's time to have different coaches or different support staff for Test match cricket and white ball cricket. You see merit in that?
Now, there is, I don't know about merit in having different coaches. That is something, that we need to look at in a different scenario, not right now. But surely questions have to be asked of him and his coaching staff. What were they doing that we had this situation where we are losing? Because we have lost when we should not have in India against New Zealand. The batting over there was pretty ordinary. The batting over here has been pretty ordinary. So I do believe that I think questions need to be asked about that. Our bowling could have been better as well. We just had two bowlers, but a lot of times the things that everybody, not just us, but including the Australians who were talking about the kind of deliveries to be bowled to a Travis Head, to a Pat Cummins, nothing of that sort was tried. So therefore, you've got to ask the bowling coach, well, what was happening? And if the bowling coach said that he had also told the bowlers to do this and the bowlers didn't do that, then you need to question the bowlers. Why the short stuff was not tried against Head? Why the short stuff was not tried against Pat Cummins? There are so many questions that can be asked. And I think these next 8-10 days which are there, I think Indian cricket needs to take a good, honest look at itself. Most importantly, the star culture has to go. And I do believe that you have to give a complete, total commitment to Indian cricket. You have a choice. You must be available for Indian cricket every single time. Unless there's a complete medical emergency, you have to be available. It's your call.
Right.
If you're not available for Indian cricket, you should not be considered for Indian cricket at all. But we do not want people who are partly here, partly there. We should not be pampering anybody now. We've had two results which are bad. We should have been in the World Test Championship final. We haven't been in the World Test Championship final. And so I think, the cricket board has to stop having this business of, being admirers. Sure, by all means be admirers, but also, put your foot down. Also tell them that, look, Indian cricket is number one. And you take a call. It's either the Indian cricket for you or other things for you. And if Indian cricket is your call, you will be selected.